open it up, guys. And let's see if our color is dried out. I don't know. Actually, we should turn this around, shouldn't we? Yeah. At least I like it this way because I can see all the paints at the other end. It's looking like we might want to add a couple of things here. Obviously, we want to add the white. Don't have much of that left. We need a little bit of yellow. That makes sense. We do use an awful lot of yellow. You're not going to get away from using a lot of cadmium yellow. Honestly, if you're going to be doing any oil painting, I don't know if I would ever recommend another yellow besides cadmium yellow. I guess you could try out like a Hansa yellow or something. They got a bunch of different yellows they'll try to sell you, but the only good one in oil painting is the only good one is cadmium yellow. Okay, here's our white. Got plenty of white. We're probably going to need some Prussian blue, so we're probably going to need some Prussian blue, probably going to need some sap green. Some of these colors doesn't feel like we need all that badly. Like I put them out just so that I know where they all are on the palette, but ultimately, do we need them that bad? Nah. But like for instance, the burnt sienna and yellow ochre, we don't use them that much. We just kind of have them there in case we want them. But how often do we really use it? Not that much. Sometimes. But most of the time we're just mixing things up from like these colors over here. And I guess sometimes throwing in a little cerulean. Okay, sap green we've been using an awful lot. Like, we've been using it a surprising amount, guys. It's kind of shocking just how much we've been using it. Here, we'll throw a little bit more cerulean right there. Like I say, I don't use a lot of cerulean, but, sometimes we bust it out. It is a pretty useful color. Let's kick it off with a little sap green. We're going to try to focus on some of this stuff in here first, just to get the background out of the way. I think we'll add a little white to our sap green. And we want to try to keep in mind here that a lot of our shadows are going to be very violet compared to the sap green. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the tiniest touch of cadmium yellow deep to our sap green and white mix. Try to keep a little bit of yellow in the paint. I think that'll do us very, very nicely. I might add just a touch more. We don't want to go overboard doing it, but we want to just add that little flavor of, I guess, I won't even call it a flesh color. It doesn't feel like a flesh color, but still kind of has those vibes sometimes. Alright, I think we've about got a color that we can work with here. It didn't take very long, did it? No, not really. Alright, let's just see what that looks like. And it's not bad. It's not bad. I think a little bit more white would do us good, though. It's not bad. Okay. Well, let's try that. Better. Now we may need to bring this color down to about yay far. Not too far, but just far enough. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to capture some of the folds in the cloth. And the folds in the cloth are going to have like one color, and then there's going to be another color. This shadow color's got a lot of violet in it, so we're going to be concentrating on that today. Let's just throw all that in right there. Is this necessarily going to be right? I don't know. I think we kind of notated a lot of this correctly already. because there's not going to be a lot of the backdrop showing here, but there's going to be enough of it that we really need to concentrate. Okay, this is all very, very nice looking, I think. We got something pretty good to work with here. Now, we'll concentrate on just a little bit of shadow color. We'll add a little bit of the mud color in there to see how it grabs us. And if you look at it, the mud color is a little dark here. It's a little dark. Well, sort of. Is it bad? I don't know if I'd say it's bad, but we do need to do a little something with it. Okay. I think I accidentally, by mixing my brush, or mixing my mud color into some undried or still wet yellow ochre, is I accidentally got myself a good shadow color for this area right here. And sometimes that just happens on accident. Sometimes you just get stuff that works. And whenever that happens, you kind of just have to roll with it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take that and we are going to use it. Because you don't look a gift horse in the eye. You just take what it gives you and see what happens next. And this is a pretty light looking color, I think, but ultimately I think it's going to pay off in spades. I don't know how much of this you can really see, so we're just going to, actually when I look at the camera right now, we can't see that much of it, so we're going to want to reel that in ever so slightly. I think we'll bring this down to about EA length. I want to have this curve a little bit right here. Okay. Yeah, that curves very nicely. The arm is going to start covering over some of this a little bit, so I don't want to like mess around with it too much, but a little bit is okay. We'll just bring it over a little bit further. I'm going maybe a little bit overboard here, but it just feels right now. We're not completely obliterating our grid line either, so it's not like the stakes are all that high right now. Okay, now let's take a little bit more of that mud color and see if we can find something a little bit more useful here. I'm going to add just a touch of white to it. The mud color, for everyone who happens to be new, who doesn't really know what's going on here, the mud color refers to a mix of all the colors that we've been using, guys. And we use that to paint a lot of different neutrals and stuff. Anytime there's like a neutral area, sometimes we just kind of start with it as a base and move from there. And a lot of times it worked pretty good. Sometimes it could work a little bit better, but you know. Yeah, sometimes it could work better, but most of the time it works alright. Let's put this in here and see what it looks like. That's actually a lot lighter than I think I gave it credit for. I might actually want that to be even lighter than it already is, now that I think about it. It's not bad, but it feels like I want to just make it one value step higher than it is. Because, yeah, that's getting a little bit dark, I think. See, the deeper the fold, guys, the deeper the fold, the more of a value step there's going to be. But the shallower the folds, well, the narrower of a value step there's going to be. It's going to be maybe just a baby step as opposed to a big step. So sometimes you got to add more white than you think you need to a color. And let's see what this looks like now that I've done that. It's going to wind up being a very light gray, I can tell. Okay, it is a lot lighter. It is a lot lighter. We may even want to just add a little bit more, because maybe we want to, let's use a little bit more white, add a little bit more to that color, because we're going to try something. We're going to try putting something up against where the flesh tone is going to be. The flesh tone is going to follow this trail right here. And it's so light right now that's kind of blending in with the paint we already put down. It's kind of what we want here. Yeah. That's actually really, really nice. Okay. Now, let's think about, I think I want something of a similar color to this, but I want something a little bit lighter, a little bit yellower even. Yeah, let's go for it. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to this because I feel like yellow ochre is going to get it closer to what I want. That's really what it's all about, guys. Just sometimes you're surprised what color is going to get you closest to your goal. And that's why you keep certain colors on the palette. They surprise you, but sometimes that's just the way it works. I'm always surprising myself in painting, surprising myself. Boy, I'm really, really eloquent today, aren't I? Yeah, I'm nailing it. This is either going to be... You know what? Just toss a little bit of our cadmium yellow deep in there. Finding that I'm not getting a vibrant enough color. It's like a fine mix between finding something that's too vibrant and finding something that's not vibrant enough. I run into a lot of that with colors. I feel like I'm always having to add a little bit of yellow to my cadmium yellow deep. Not always, but a lot of times when I'm looking for something that glows a little bit more, I'm adding a little bit more yellow to the cadmium yellow deep because my cadmium yellow deep doesn't really, well, like I told you guys before, it's kind of more of an orange color than it is a yellow color, so it doesn't really have the same hue. Sometimes it can be challenging to work with. I don't know if anyone else out there has that problem with their cadmium yellow deep, but, well, I've told you guys before, I think part of the problem is that my cadmium yellow deep is made with a cadmium red pigment, so the shift on that, the hue, is going to be just a little bit different than for some other people. Okay, so I think I finally got this about where I want it, and we're going to make sure that this goes right about here, this color. It's very light, almost like Naples yellow color. And then this is going to go right about in here. And I don't want to go too high because then you guys aren't going to be able to see it. But this is about the angle of the fold that we're looking for. Yeah, that's a good angle. Okay. It's looking very pretty. I think we'll just add a little bit more white to that right over here. A little bit more white. And then we'll do sort of the same thing right here. Okay. And bring it up in there a little bit. This backdrop is kind of coming together a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I think I'm going to want to bring this down slightly. Yeah, over here we want this backdrop to come down a little bit because it's... Ooh, I don't know about this one. Yeah, no. Things are... Things are okay over here, but they could be a little bit better, I think. That'll be okay for right now. I'm just trying to get the backdrop down to about halfway here. Okay. I can live with that for right now. That's fine. The only thing left to really do is maybe see if we can take this mud color and make something over in here that's right next to this, because I need a little bit of a shadow color on there. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I think I found it. Let's just... Okay, that's not bad at all. Yeah, that's not too bad. Might add something even darker than that. Maybe. Yeah, that works. That works. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take what we did there, and we're going to paint over some of this real quick. Because we kind of got a little ham there. And then that mud color that we were working with right here. Okay. We'll bring it over in here. Make sure we don't get too close. We do want a little bit of a curve there. We're going to leave a little space on this side because we need some. And we're just going to curve it like this. And that'll look real nice like that. There. Okay. Let's try to focus on something of a flesh tone. And as usual, take a little bit of the mud color for a base. And then we're going to take some alizarin crimson and cadmium yellow. Remember, alizarin crimson and cadmium yellow light, or cadmium yellow pale, cadmium yellow medium. There's a lot of different cadmium yellows out there, guys. The hues on all the cadmium yellow colors are all different, so you kind of have to pay attention to which ones look a certain way that you want. But generally, a cadmium yellow medium refers to a cadmium yellow that's not too yellow, not too orange. Whereas a cadmium yellow deep, that refers to a cadmium yellow that's got a lot of orange in it. And then a cadmium yellow light, sometimes that's a pretty middle yellow. Other times it's a little bit more lemony, a little bit more green. But a cadmium lemon, you can always bet that that's going to look very, very green, all things considered. I don't really like the cadmium lemon colors. I don't really need them. There's not really a lot of purpose to them because they just... Well, some people like them, but I don't get anything out of them. I always use a medium cadmium yellow and a deep cadmium yellow. I feel like those are the colors that just get me where I need to go. They're also the brightest ones, and if you're really into painting really bright, warm colors and everything, then those are the ones that you absolutely want to use. Okay. Looking for I'm looking for kind of a God. I'm having trouble finding the color that I want here, but I feel like if I add a little bit more alizarin crimson to it, I'm going to find it. This is a tough. Flesh tones in general are pretty tough to get. Let's not beat around the bush on that one. They're not the easiest thing in the world to nail down. So sometimes they'll throw you for a loop. But you can always bet on cadmium colors and alizarin crimson getting you where you want to go. Like 99% of the time, they will do the trick for you. And then it doesn't hurt to have a little blue on hand too. Believe it or not. Okay, this'll do. You know what? I'm gonna add just a little bit more alizarin crimson. I feel like this is one of those times where I just can't get enough alizarin crimson, guys. Yeah, this is one of those days where alizarin crimson is just dominating. Alright, what I got now is probably going to work okay. Let's try to concentrate now and just put it in. And if we need to get a little bit more creative along the way, we will. So, right down here, let's concentrate on drawing this. Let's see, right about down to about here, there's going to be a little curve. And it's going to go down to about yay far. Okay. The wrist is going to go all the way up here. Up here. Boy, that's pretty far, isn't it? Yeah, a little bit. But we got to make sure that this arm is just so. It's going to curve in this way. It's going to curve like this. Okay. Boy. It's just barely going to be there, isn't it? Okay, yeah, a little bit. And this flesh tone right there. Right about in the middle is going to be some folds on the shirt. Yeah, we can monkey around with them in a little bit, I suppose. Yeah. Alright. The arm is looking a little bit better than I thought it would. I'm going to mix up a new flesh tone, I think, here. I think we're going to just let the other pile off to the side, do whatever it wants. And then we're going to mix up this new stuff over here with the cadmium yellow and the alizarin crimson. And then we'll toy around with some cerulean blue in the mix. Cerulean blue. Do we want the cerulean blue, or do we want some ultramarine? Hard to say. Let's try some cerulean blue and see how it looks. I think. Yeah. Okay, now we got a good orange base. Let's add some white to that. See what it looks like. It's already looking fleshy. We got a good vibrancy going on this. This is nice. Okay, let's take a little of that cerulean, add it off to the side here. I think a lot of this is just going to be varying degrees of cerulean with the alizarin crimson. And the cadmium yellow. Look at Captain Obvious over here, stating it. Okay. Alright, let's try with this shadow color right here. Throw that in down there. It's already looking pretty nice. Sometimes, like I say, sometimes those colors surprise you guys. Look at that. There's going to be some good purples in here. I got a feeling, guys. I think that the base that I laid down there is not exactly what I want. I think there needs to be a little bit more yellow in the mix. This shirt that I put in, I don't think it looks all that bad. Maybe a little bit higher, but I think for the most part I got it pretty much where I wanted it to be the first time around. Okay. Let me see about this other color that I have, this lighter color. We're going to see if we can just lighten it up a little bit because, well, like I say, sometimes it surprises you how much white you have to add into things. Well, there's a reason that artists use white all the time, painters use white all the time. You can buy little tubes of everything else, but you always got to buy that big tube of the. You always got to buy that big tube of the white, because those little tubes ain't gonna hack it. They're good for transporting, going on vacation and stuff. That's about it. Otherwise, those little tubes are pretty useless. This is a little bit better. Yeah, I like this a little bit better. Doesn't feel so lifeless as it did. Because that color we were putting down there was looking a little, I don't know. It didn't have a lot going on to it, it felt like. Which, you know, sometimes it works for you. Other times, you know, that could look nicer. Those kinds of colors happen a lot. Here, I'm going to take some of that shadow color we were using and make kind of an outline, I guess. I guess you could call it that. Well, I guess there's no kind of about it. We're just going to do a tiny outline over here to the side. And then maybe get ourselves I don't know, a little bit more of a violet color next, I think. I don't know. It's hard to decide. Either that or a little bit more of a yellow color. I just want to see what this is going to look like with the yellow. that's a little bit more what we were looking for. God, I wasn't sure if the I wasn't sure if all that yellow was going to work out the way I thought it was going to, but it doesn't look that bad. So we're just going to add a couple of things here and there. There. I don't know. There's like this mottled effect on the skin where there's little you know how there's just patches on skin and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a lot of what we're looking at here. Is that patchy effect on skin where some of it's really red, some of it's really yellow, stuff like that. It's what makes skin like so fascinating to look at. It's a little bit like texture work sometimes. A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Debating how much like more we want to do right now with this. I might just, God, I might just let that skin be as it is for right now. Maybe we'll concentrate on the shirt next, because things are getting a little, I don't know, they're getting a little, they're just getting a little bit much right now. Let's focus on the shirt. Otherwise we'll be painting flesh tones all day, and yeah, we do have other things we gotta do. It's not like we can just afford to paint flesh tones all day long, fun as it is. Start with some Prussian blue here. I just need a little bit. I'm going to take some of the mud color too, mix it into the Prussian blue, so that when we start doing a little something more with it in a hot second here, it doesn't feel like it's going to be as overbearing. And we're looking for kind of a muted, almost violet color, I think, maybe. Yeah, just about. I think we just about found the color we were looking for. Sometimes it feels like I gotta separate the color a whole bunch. Prussian blue is like one little drop will just color the whole thing. It is amazing how powerful this color is, and there's a reason that I don't use it that much in the grand scheme of things. Okay, let's just take a little bit, get it in there, ever so slightly. Okay. Now we have our color. Let's go ahead and try some things out. Got our highlight color for better or worse. Let's go into this and just see what we can do here. Maybe over here we'll notate a couple of things. That's going to go right about there. There's a little rim of light here. I'm trying to hit. I think I almost got it there. Yeah, that's not too shabby. That's alright. Okay. Now it's going to be kind of hard to tell just where the bottom of this is, because, well, you know, it's a kind of a different color from what we've been doing on here. So I guess it's not that hard to tell, but it can be a little bit hard to tell sometimes where necessarily we should be going next. But fortunately, a lot of what we already did with the shirt is not so bad. Like, what I'm doing now is a little bit more blue, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's a lot more blue. And what we did initially was a little bit more violet. Okay. This is about fine, I think. I think for like a lot of the folds on this, curiously enough, I think we're gonna, God, I think we need a little bit of, I think we need some cadmium yellow deep. We need like a very light, earthy kind of yellow, I think, for this one. I think that's how we're gonna be able to get this done. And this might actually be a good argument for the yellow ochre. Yeah, maybe. It would be the worst idea. Here, let's try some of that earth yellow in there. I'm just going to slip it into off to the side here in this mix that I've already made. And we're going to lighten it up a little bit, I think, and see what it looks like. And hopefully it's not going to look too bad. Now, FYI, yellow orange or an orange yellow like yellow ochre is actually going to be a really good complement for a Prussian blue type color, whereas a light, just a middle yellow is going to be a lot better for ultramarine blue. Now a mixing complement is going to be something around an orange or something, but it seems like this color here is working okay. It's working okay. I'm just getting a little bit more an orange yellow in the mix. Seeing what it looks like up against it. It's not so bad. Maybe another touch of white and I think we'll be there. Okay. Let's see it. Okay, that's not bad. Let's roll with that. Let's roll with it, see what happens. Oh, just feels right. Like right in there. Yeah, it's not so bad. That's decent. I didn't want it to be too overbearing, and thankfully it's not. Okay. God, I'm going to push the value on this eventually. You guys tell that I'm going to try to push the value. I'm going to try to push the color. I'm going to try to push the value. I am being a little bit conservative, I think. A lot of these areas that we're starting off with. Mostly just because I think the thing I'm most concerned about is getting the proportions right. Like, that really is my number one concern right now, is just making sure my proportions are not jacked up. Because they were pretty bad. They were lousy. It was, ooh, man. I hated my proportions. The thing of it is that you can kind of get a sense of what your proportions are while you're painting. You can kind of tell. If they're bad, you can kind of tell they're bad. It's funny how that works. Like, you just know. You know. And there's nothing you can do to avoid it. I'm taking some more Prussian blue right now and mixing it with alizarin crimson to get that violet color that we've been using for the pants over here. I don't know, it just feels right. Okay. Just feels right, guys. I wonder how close we are to it. Actually, the color that I just whipped up here with the mud and the alizarin and some Prussian blue is pretty close to what we want. So yeah, we're just gonna work with it for right now, I think. That's cool. Now we'll start like right down in here. Okay. And then we'll go to about, oh, I'm gonna wind up fudging some of this, I just know it. Yeah, probably. Okay. So the leg that we've been working with is going to start right about here somewhere. Right about here. Okay. Okay. Boy. Capturing this curve is interesting. Okay, so it's going to go down to about there. And this over here. Okay, so, alright. I was a little bit worried about getting the curve on the pants there, but yeah, this isn't too bad. I think we're going to bring this over here a little bit, because this is all looking kind of nice. There. Enjoy the complexity of the colors. I might have gotten this a little light, but you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. Yeah, we're just going to enjoy it together, guys. That's how I feel right now. We'll just take it on the chin and appreciate it for what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I made this a little large or not. I don't know if I did, but if I did, it's only because I wanted to get it right. And then right here, it's going to be a little bit more just... We need to get this all the way over here. Okay. Alright. I think we're somewhere. Well, the shape is looking pretty good. Now, the color is maybe not perfect, but the shape is looking a lot better. Well, that's really what we were going for right now anyway. The proportions and the shape, they're looking good. What we are going to do find something a little bit. Let's find something a little bit darker here. Might actually need a little bit more of the Prussian blue, much to my own surprise right now. Not too much. A little dab will do you on Prussian blue. Always seems that way, doesn't it? Especially when you're using a lot of white colors. Yeah. Alright. Let me see if I'm finding the right color here. I'm going to add just a touch of the yellow to this. Sometimes when you're in doubt, sometimes you just need to take the mud out of the equation and make sure that you have a properly dark. Okay. It's actually not the darkest dark you could have, but it's good enough for what we want to do. It's right here. God, this leg is finally looking the way I want it to. This leg is finally looking big enough, guys. Good. I wasn't properly capturing the size of it. Now it finally feels right. And the pant leg is looking nice. Everything is looking a lot nicer than it was, guys. God, everything was just, I don't know, everything felt wrong for a while. You ever had that experience while you're painting? Where everything just seems like it's going wrong and you can't get anything right. God, I have days like that where everything is just falling apart. Hell, I've had a lot of days like that recently. Yeah. Everything is just a mess. Everything is the worst. Let's see here. How many more folds do we need? Well, we'll get one more over here. I think one more, like right there, ought to do it. Okay. That's not so bad. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Okay. Let's add a little bit of white to this. See what color we're dealing with. Wonder if it's any good. A little bit more white. That wasn't enough. Now let's see what color we're dealing with. Alright, so it's not so bad. A little bit blue. think some of this paint needs to dry before we do anything else with it, because I'm kind of working wet and wet, and it's really, really wet right now. I was a little bit worried I was going to have to repaint this entire part, that part of the leg right there, but I thought, I don't know, proportion looks right, so I don't know if I want to mess with it right now. And then once I got all the pants and everything situated there, I'm realizing, yeah, that was about right. I don't think we should mess with it. I think we want to mess around with the color, but the form, no, less so. Well, it's like I say, sometimes you second guess yourself, guys. That's just part of the experience. Everything's normal if you're second guessing yourself. Here. There. Now let's do a little something else right there. I feel like I need to get a little curve up here, just to indicate that the pants are kind of bunching up a little bit. Here, we'll throw a little something up in there too. There. There. That's looking nice. Maybe we should just throw this up a bit. Okay. 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 Boy, really surprising stuff happening today, guys. It's cool to see, though. Alright, let's focus on this leg real quick, and I think, I don't know, we might already have something we can work with here, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope we do. I'm pretty confident that this yellow that I whipped up earlier is going to suffice for what we want to do for the most part. I think it will. At the very least, we're going to put it in here and see what happens. Actually, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Now we're probably going to want to do a little something. God. I can already tell that the color we're whipping in here is going to be influencing this little slice of heaven over here too. I feel like this color is, I don't know if muddy is the right word, but God, sometimes it feels that way. Nah, muddy's not the right word. Enthusiastic. Maybe that's the word. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more of that yellow, a little bit of the alizarin, not too much of the alizarin, and then just a lot of white. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit more of the alizarin in there. Okay, and then we'll just paint some of this down in there to help ourselves out. And add, I don't know, maybe a little something over here to color it. Yeah, just give it a little bit of make it look not so monotone. Okay. Maybe just a little bit more right here, guys. Gotta be careful putting in that white like that. This is probably fine for right now. We've done a lot of work today, haven't we? Yeah, we have. Well, it seems like it takes us a full hour to do all the stuff that we want to do. Well, nothing wrong with that. Just means that we're getting it done, guys. Look at all that paint. Whew. God, we did a whole lot, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Oh, baby. A lot of flesh tones, a lot of cloth, a lot of everything. And every time you get that detail involved, sometimes it takes a lot of effort. And it's no small amount that we do when we do that. At least we got ourselves some nice colors here. We got ourselves a good amount of that mud mix that's gonna, I don't know, it's a pretty interesting mud mix that we're whipping up here. Well, seems like the mud mix that we have always kind of skews towards purple a little bit. Honestly, purple is probably a lot more useful than a green, because, well, I see a lot of violet in shadows, so it does make pretty useful shadow colors. Alright, I think that'll do us for today, guys.